Okay, so on this video, I'm going to share a feedback form, which we will be using internally as we develop relationships with agency partners around the world. We obviously want to make sure that our work is up to par and that we receive the constructive feedback necessary to sharpen our acts per se. So in this video, we're not going to cover anything as far as bot building, although this feedback form, we can definitely build it inside of a chatbot, and we will cover that in a different video. Actually, it would be two videos because we can cover these questions and answers in different formats using a third-party web view and make it extra fancy. And we can have a more basic way of delivering and receiving the answers to our survey questions inside of a chatbot on Messenger. So we're going to have two different videos covering that. In this video, however, I want to share how I took a basic feedback form and I made it a bit more conversational. So I want to illustrate more of the copy and few instances that we get to interact with our potential agency partner or client. In this case, it's an agency partner survey. In order to enhance our communication with them, as we all know, that there's nothing that takes or that substitutes that person-to-person touch. So with this form, we don't want to make it robotic and basic. We want to make it a bit more conversational and friendly, if that makes sense. So let's dive into the few questions that we are asking here. We don't want to ask too many questions and give too many options, as you're going to see. So we're going to see a contrast of what I've done here. So obviously, has to be branded, right? Here I turned a basic B2B customer satisfaction survey, and I titled it basically satisfaction survey dash agency partner, because that's, I want to, for record keeping and organizational best practices, I wanted to, label it, a bit more precise, right? So we'd love to hear your thoughts on the feedback questions below, which, sounds good, sounds fair. And I turned it into a little bit of, how can we improve, right? So I start with a question. And in other words, I know that there are areas that I can improve and our agency as a whole can improve. So I start by saying that, and off the bat, I sort of disarm, any potential, snags that might have happened, right? I probably, get some grace and, throughout my survey, but overall, how can I improve, right? We'd love to hear your thoughts on the feedback questions below. The first part is bot related, which is, what we specialize in. And in this specific form, it is very relevant. So the first part is bot related, while the second part is interagency mechanics, right? So I gave my reader, right, an opportunity to understand that I am doing a two-part survey, right? And I didn't want to make it too complicated, too extensive, because they're busy, right? But I definitely want to get their feedback, right? So here are my questions. So it went first from an overall satisfaction. What's your overall satisfaction working with DM Digital? And I want to dive into the question, and as well, I want to amplify about the answers and how I changed a little bit the answers and the and how it feels. So let's just go over some of these. How is your overall satisfaction working with DM Digital was the basic generic template that I modified into how satisfied are you with your custom design and overall look and feel so far, right? So I'm just I'm looking for a positive, you know, this is very vague, right? It's overall look and feel so far. So I'm looking for a first, you know, positive, answer here. If I don't hit, you know, a positive answer here, if not the top, I need to go back to the drawing board. But I'm looking for an overall first positive reaction, right? And then I'll dive more into some other intricacies that are important for this feedback form to work, right? So I changed it from and then the answers, right? So very satisfied, they're very average answers, right? They're very cookie cutter. You see these in every, for the most part, in every feedback form, right? It's very satisfied, neither. I don't know how you can be a neither, although you see this constantly on feedback forms. You're either or, right? I think that you're either satisfied or you're on the dissatisfied side. I eliminated neither, right? And from all of these potential questions, I eliminated neither. And instead of 5 options, I gave 4. I eliminated neither. And I simplified, or I didn't simplify, I changed a little bit the sentiment in the conversational context of the answers, right? They're not cookie cutter, as you see here is copy paste. These answers are very copy paste, very size, across the board. They're very the same answers. So I wanted to have more of a conversational feel, as I explained at the beginning of the video. So let's move on. Let's see, what are the 4 options that I gave instead of I'll say very satisfied. Let's see what I used here, and let's see if we can move this. Very satisfied. I said very satisfied and satisfied. Those 2 stayed pretty much the same, right? Very satisfied and satisfied. And then we got away. We eliminated neither. And then the last 2, I wanted to obviously reflect, if it's dissatisfied and very dissatisfied, I wanted to really, change those words. Needs improvement and needs major improvement. So, in other words, yes, dissatisfied and very dissatisfied. If it needs major improvement, it really translates, that, or in that scale, right? But instead of using the words dissatisfied twice, I used the word improvement, right? Needs improvement and needs major improvement. Do you feel what I feel when, somebody would tell you, you need some improvement, rather than, I'm dissatisfied with your work, right? So pay attention to those opportunities that you get to make people feel just different, just by the type of words that you choose, right? In your verbal communication, and of course your copy, in this case, bot copy and form copy, if you will. So next question. In the other form, I had how satisfied are you with the ease of doing business with DM Digital, right? And again, those 5 cookie cutter questions, I kind of simplified, and I eliminated some questions there. I just went straight, because the first part is bot related. So it was bot related. How satisfied are you with the functionality of the bot as of today, right? So very satisfied and satisfied, obviously the 2, first answers that are, pretty much the same as the top. But then instead of needs improvement, I said, you know what, it needs work, right? That would probably translate dissatisfied. And very dissatisfied would be, it's dysfunctional, right? So because I'm talking about the functionality of the bot as of today, it's dysfunctional, it's within the context, right? Okay, great. So I'm glad we agree. next question in the feedback form here is the bot UX up to par? So UX, as we know, user experience, very, very important. So is the bot's user experience up to par? So, I'll have four relevant potential answers, which is people love it because it's user's experience, right? So people love it. It's congruent with the question, right? Could be optimized or can be optimized. Always could be optimized. So that's great that a person can see the bigger picture. So yes, it could be optimized. It also opens the conversation as like, okay, that's great. Let's what else can we do for you? So that opens that dialogue. People get lost. That means it doesn't. People get lost. Maybe it's too broad. It's too generic. I don't know. Maybe it just needs. It definitely needs work, right? In other words, and then last but not least, or last but least of the options that I would want somebody to check here is user experience is incongruent with objectives, right? We can see some bots that are really robust or maybe too basic, and they just they miss the mark, in other words. So you have these potential answers that are relevant, very relevant to the question, instead of having cookie cutter answers here. So this is the last question when it comes to bot related questions in the first part. Does the bot meet compliance and custom requirements? Very, very important, guys. This actually should be the first question, but we're not going to make it the first question. This is very, very important. It should be probably on your list of checking things, starting a project and finishing a project, but that's another video. So compliance, does it mean compliance or not? Yes. How can we scale it? That again, it opens up the conversation into what else can we do for you, and everything that derives from that, right? From that intention. So it's above basic. So meaning, yes, it exceeds our expectations, right? Then it's basic. Hopefully nobody ever checks that in my watch, but sometimes people want a basic build out, right? And then let's go back to the drawing board. That means it means what that means. Let's go back to the drawing board. The client is dissatisfied. So again, the questions or the answers here meet or are congruent with the question. So the next part 2 of the feedback form is, as I stated in the beginning, it's interagency mechanics, right? So in this case, it's 2 agencies collaborating. And so service and support, right? How satisfied are you with the speed at which your messages and calls were answered? I should fix that from R to where, probably, right? So anyway, very satisfied and satisfied, right? Needs improvement and needs major improvement. Again, I did not use it sucks, or I did not use I'm very dissatisfied, because those words just in reading it, in expressing them, it's just they're negative. Instead, we can use words that demand or induce something positive, but it does need improvement. So it translates, and it's at the scale that we want to kind of show our options here. So next question is, how satisfied are you with the knowledge of DM Digital in the services provided? So again, these 2 are pretty much the same. We're going to be evolving these sort of forms as we develop more relationships. And of course, relationships are custom relationships that we are learning from, and so we're humanizing our brand with these tools, right? And then there are 2 last but not least, there are two open questions where people, or is that multiple choice, but it's actually a short paragraph where people can actually add with their own words, you know, how we can improve, right? So absolutely, how can we improve? Your feedback is very valuable to us. Please feel free to add your suggestions on how we can improve your experience with DM Digital, so people can add their own you know, suggestions. What part of the process so far would you automate and or simplify? Obviously, there are tools and systems that we can always use to simplify part of the dialogue in between agencies and clients. So what would you like to see, you know, happen in that process, in you know, automating parts of that process? Maybe some tools that we need to look at, maybe some subscriptions that we need to be taken into consideration, or maybe some custom stuff that will make this process a lot simpler. So again, we're gonna have another 2 videos sharing how we can basically botify. So we can put these questions in a chat bot on Messenger, and we can do it 2 different ways: the fancy way and in the more, you know, basic, simple way. So we're gonna cut some videos regarding that, and I'll see you on the next one.